Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Optimizing and Launching Online Grocery During COVID-19. My name is Mike Troy. I'm the Editorial Director of Progressive Grocer and Retail Leader. I'm going to be your host for today's event. These are super interesting times in retail and food retail in particular. And, every day we're just seeing how fast things are moving, and we're all experiencing that from different ways. And I thought just to kind of get us started today and illustrate, just how fast and how dynamic, I'll just share a couple statistics because we're in the news business, so we're seeing this stuff in real time, and it's just constant change. Yesterday, Acosta, the sales and marketing firm, they came out with the third installment of some consumer research they do. And they started that in early March, looking at shoppers' evolving behaviors. And they've really documented how there's a shift that's taken place. And what the latest results that they showed yesterday was that they surveyed people between April 3rd and 7th. And half of the people they surveyed had placed an online order during the prior 4 weeks. And then another 33% had reported that it was like their first time they'd ever placed an online order. So those are pretty noteworthy numbers, and they come on top of a business that was already, a type of service business that was already experiencing pretty good growth. And then this morning, this was interesting. We heard from Target, and they reported their same-store sales for March and said that their comps were up 40% in food and consumable categories, but they were down 30% in apparel and accessories. But where things really got interesting in their announcement was that they said beginning April 15th, their comparable sales figure was 5%, but store sales had declined in the mid-teens, but digital comps had increased 275%. I had to read that a couple times and just make sure I was, digesting that accurately. But that's pretty stunning, and it just speaks to the different way people are shopping now. And just share those data points because it speaks to the environment we're in and how fast things are moving and progressing and have really evolved in just 6 to 7, 8 weeks. And they really tie in with our topic of, optimizing and launching. And so we've got a couple of people I'm excited to hear from today that, that are living this every day. We've got Megan Hardy. Megan is Sales and Marketing Manager for Kessler's Grocery. Kessler is a company in South Dakota. They have a couple of stores in South Dakota, and there's some interesting things happening in their markets that they're seeing. And then we also have Kelly Deininger. Kelly is e-commerce director for Scogan's Festival Foods. And Festival's based in Green Bay and operates 32 stores. I believe they're all in Wisconsin, but Kelly can fill us in on that. Megan and Kelly have both been involved in food retailing for decades and have great perspective on this topic, what they're seeing, how they've adjusted, all those type of things. And then we've also got Brian Moyer. Brian's the CEO of Fresh Shop. Fresh Shop's a technology platform, and it helps thousands of food retailers operate their digital businesses. And so Brian brings a great perspective from, across the company's customer base and the type of things they're seeing. Our plan today, we're gonna hear some brief introductory comments from Megan, Kelly, and then Brian, and then we're going to just try to transition into more of a conversation about what's going on, what are people seeing, how we're evolving, and then we hope to have folks on the line, submit questions as you hear interesting things that anyone says, and we'll get to those, in real time as we go through the conversation. That's the plan, and so. First off, we're going to hear from Megan, and I am going to now turn things over to Megan, if you would like to go ahead and kind of fill us in on your perspective.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me okay? Yes,
yep.
I am Megan.
Sound great.
Good. All right. I'm Megan. Megan Hardy. I work for Kessa's Grocery. I'm their sales and marketing manager. We have been doing online grocery shopping since it's been 2 years. We started with Fresh Shop. We have 2 locations. One's in Aberdeen, South Dakota, which is the northeast part of the state. And then we also have a smaller location in a rural community in Miller, South Dakota, which is about, I'd say it's a big farming community. So probably about 3,000 people in the city. And then also the farmers about 70 miles around come to shop there too. So it is that store, however, I should say the smaller one is not up on online e-commerce yet. But we started with the Aberdeen store 2 years ago. And we started probably with about, I think we had 3 full-time shoppers to start with. And a couple part-time, and it was fantastic. It was a need. Everybody was so excited about it. We really brought it in wanting to, go above and beyond and give our customers, the best service possible and giving them hand-selected items. And it has gone over really, really well. And then, of course, in the last couple of months, things have completely changed. Not that it's a bad thing, but we've had to completely adapt and change the way we have done our online shopping. And as far as what we did, I don't know if you want me to get quite into that yet, and I can, but we started, like I said, with about 3 or 4 shoppers, and in the last month, we had hired on 17 full-time new employees because the demand has skyrocketed, of course. And we wanted to make sure we were giving our customers the opportunity to use our online services so they didn't have to come into our store. We had people calling, you guys, we don't want to come into the store, please. You got to get more shoppers. So we listened to the demand. We went above and beyond. We were scrambling to find new help. Obviously, there are people in our community who were dying to have a job because they were out of a job, whether they were, a waitress, hairstylist, whatever. They were needing temporary work. So we got 17 new full-time employees, got them trained up, and we went from, to share some numbers with you guys, we went from $10,000 sales, e-commerce sales a week, and this last week we jumped to $93,000. So it was a heck of an increase for us. There were definitely some growing pains in there, but we handled everything the best we could, and the main thing we did was communicate with our customers to say, we tried communicating with them daily to let them know, we understand what you guys are hoping from us. We are here for you. We were doing everything we can. We're sorry. Right away, the wait times were excessive. They couldn't get in, to a pickup slot for about a week. That was the longest it had gotten. And then as of today, I'm happy to report they can put an online grocery in for today. So you can still, if they go on right now, they can get an order for later on this afternoon. So we have caught up. We're feeling really good about it. Our customers are happy, but we also, I should note too, had to incorporate a few new things, including a service fee, which we did not start out using. So that was another thing we had to do to make an adjustment to make sure that this service succeeded for not only our customers, but for our store as well. And really, that's kind of a brief overview. We can get into more later if you guys have questions for me. But this service has been wonderful for our customers. We hear from them every single day. They're thankful for us. They're so glad that we had this in place when all of this started.
That's great. We can get to some of the questions a little bit later. Kelly, you want to go ahead and kind of fill us in?
Sure. Thanks, Mike. My name is Kelly Deininger. I'm the Director of E-commerce for Festival Foods. Festival Foods is a family-owned grocery store throughout the state of Wisconsin. So, Mike, to your earlier point, we are only in the state of Wisconsin. We were founded in the mid-40s. So with our organization, there is a lot of history and evolution with the company, as well as our huge commitment to the community. So that's definitely played a role in why we rolled out with we call it click and go, where you buy online and pick up in stores. As far as some of the things that we've done since March, since COVID-19, one, we expanded our program. when we launched with Click and Go program, it was with a handful of stores. We grew it week by week based off of location. And when COVID-19 hit, we really expanded and rolled it out to all of our locations. We just have a handful left that we're working on expanding. We also expanded things like our pickup hours and slots per hour. So always taking a look at how we can grow the business. We've definitely optimized the site to address any guest questions and experiences, things that we've changed. We've done a lot of how-to videos to help our guests navigate through grocery shopping online, because a lot of them have not done that in the past. We've had to adjust some staff and transition, do some cross-training. We scaled our delivery program and partner with Instacart on that. And then definitely made some changes to our weekly ad program, the cadence, the size of it. And on top of all of that, we had to comply with all the COVID-19 expectations from an operations standpoint. So a lot going on during all of this.
Excellent. And Brian, you want to share a few thoughts?
Yeah, so there's some interesting thoughts definitely on how they've both introduced. And this is Brian with Fresh Shop. So we power online grocery for thousands of retailers. So we're definitely seeing what's happening. We've evolved our practice over the last few years to help with online grocery and how that has evolved. But certainly there's been just a stunning change starting in the beginning of March with COVID-19 and the impact. And so I think everything is going to be thought of in e-commerce in general, of pre-COVID and post-COVID. We're seeing even the big online providers struggling with warehouse work and getting people to be able to do that safely, transmitting products, and then supply chain challenges as well. But certainly within the grocery industry itself and the kinds of things that we're seeing there and the impacts, if we look at what the online sales are, this is a chart of Fresh Shop with online sales going up through, really started around March 11th, where we saw the big jump in there. And that was a combination of stores seeing a massive increase in the amount of orders that they were getting, but also a huge increase in the number of stores that were suddenly going online. We had retailers that maybe had 10 stores and they were only doing half of them e-com, and they were looking to do the rest. And then they're like, bang, we're turning on all 5 other stores and getting them in there. And that trend has really continued all the way up through today. We're starting to see some stores that are starting to stabilize, or even their online orders are coming down a little bit. But there are many stores that are still seeing that exponential type growth that they're having a hard time keeping up with and doing that. It's actually, one thing I wanted to ask Megan, there's questions in here about people saying, how did you deal with it? And what have you done to get that week down to a day? But even with it down to a day, Megan, is there untapped demand out there? Are there more people that still want to place online orders? Or do you feel like, you've kind of gotten into a balance point where you're able to deal with all of the potential orders that are out there?
I'm feeling much better about it now. It was keeping me up very late at night, answering customer emails and questions. But like I said, it was out a week. It was not acceptable. We were doing, like I said, we only had about 3 full-time employees. So my biggest concern was hiring more help. But at that point, we just went on a serious hunt for capable people who needed work and who could, take care of our customers the way that we expect. So we went on a major hiring spree. We did interviews, and we got them all hired within a week, and then we started training them as quickly as we could. And with the help of Fresh Shop, I actually hired, because I'm the manager, a marketing manager, and I oversee the marketing and the advertising of the store. So personal shopping, which is what we call our e-commerce platform, is underneath of me. So at this point, doing my other job, it was something that I was just able to do with, only doing $10,000 a week. When we knew it was going to be going through the roof, we needed to hire an actual manager for that department. So I actually went out and, found a manager to come and manage that department as well, which has been incredible. So not only did we hire regular employee, like shoppers, actual personal shoppers, we got a full-time manager on staff, and they are all up and ready to roll. I do feel like we filled the need. Like I said, if anybody wanted to go online right now and order online shop, they can get in today still. So I feel like we're filling that need to the best of our ability, and I don't feel like nobody's really waiting at all. However, I don't believe everybody knows that we're still carrying the service. You know, we still need to reach different people who may not have social media, who may not listen to our local radio station. You know, there are still people who don't know that we offer it. So we have some work to do still.
So you had that
Our hiring
initial rush
experience
where
was a
people
little-
were coming in to buy, and that's what I was going to ask you, Kelly, was how did you guys make that transition from kind of zero to hero? Because I know with more stores, and you also, I think you scaled up where you were offering the service and how much you were offering the service. How did you guys make it through that first week or 2 weeks?
So we were very blessed in the fact that we kind of had the infrastructure in place. Like I had said, we had a good handful of stores that were already up and running on Click and Go. We were seeing very consistent sales before COVID-19. And then when that hit, we really focused on shifting our associates. We had certain departments that we had to close for the time being. And so we used our existing Click and Go staff to help train other staff and do that cross training. So that was definitely a benefit on our side of things is having that infrastructure and some of the staff and associates in place and trained. Like I mentioned before, the other expansion is we rolled out Click and Go capabilities, and we're still rolling out. We just have a handful of stores left. And because we've done this, 20, 25, 30 times already, it's starting to work really well, like an oiled machine when we go to roll out in stores. And we just continue to expand. So we used to have delivery or pickup from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We recently expanded that 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then some of our stores are just knocking it out of the park, and they actually doubled the amount of pickups per slot. And so those are kind of the ways that we're expanding to meet the needs of the guests.
There's a whole
Kelly,
flow of how these orders. Go ahead, Mike.
Are you seeing, I'm curious on that 8 to 10, is there certain times in that 8 to 10 where you're busier than other times?
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a day thing, day of the week. So that's kind of how we plan for staffing. We adjust our staffing based off of that in the previous week as well. A lot of the shift tends to be our older audience in the morning during that time, right after all the cleaning has been done and the stores are opening. Some of our audience feels more comfortable being out in public during that time as well.
We've also seen a lot of stores implement, like early morning hours that are for at-risk populations so that people can come in and it's reserved for just those people, or they're further limiting the amount of people that can come into the store. And that, of course, has an impact on e-commerce as well, where people are saying, hey, I can't get in during that time. I will place an e-commerce order. So some of this is artificial. I think a lot of the slot selection that's happened for the first 3 or 4 weeks of COVID-19, I'll take the first thing that's available. Like, I don't really want next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Well, I'll take it because that's what's there. Now, when you look at stores have gotten better at being able to do that, like Kessler's, she's saying same day. And so now people aren't just saying, I'll take the next one that I can get. I'll look at what is convenient for me. People are at stay-at-home orders. They're not going out all the time. So they're trying to plan and be able to pick what's there. And that's something that we see, something that we introduced on Fresh Up really quickly into this was a lot of stores got into exactly what you said, where they were scheduling a week out and nobody really wanted their groceries a week from now. It was just the first available time that could get done as stores scaled up and added personal shoppers. And as Kelly said, they had labor available. We've seen a lot of stores where their deli departments all of a sudden didn't have much to do, or they had cut fruit departments. They stopped doing those kind of things. They weren't prepping salad bars and hot bars, and so they were able to move labor around. We rolled out Notify Me When Ready, we first called it ASAP, but customers would read that and think, I can get it right now. And so it's notify me but when ready. So instead of picking, on Thursday the 23rd at 5 p.m., I can say, just tell me when it's going to be ready. And the store can change that text. For some stores, it's still 3 days out. And for other stores, they'll just let you know. And so you place the order. People are at home anyway. They don't have the regimented schedules that we normally do. And so right now they're available. And so when the store marks that notify order ready for pickup, the person gets a notification that says, hey, it's time to come and get your order. So there's a lot of things that need to get introduced into your thought process of how you're doing things to be able to deal with what is happening with COVID-19. And I think what we're seeing right now, we're past that initial rush where people are just, oh my goodness, how do I make this work? And as you're hearing from both of these organizations, they're scaling, they're moving things around, they're launching more programs. So we're thinking about how is this going to tail down? What's going to change as people come out of stay at home and they open up and have more options to be able to do things? I think many people believe that a lot of the people who tried click and collect for the first time are probably going to stick with it. And there's probably going to be a part of our society that is not going to be comfortable going into busy stores like they were before, and they may look for e-commerce options. So thinking about how are you going to plan between now and as things open back up, once they open back up, what are you going to do? What are you going to do over the summer? And then in the back of everyone's mind is, these warnings about it potentially coming back in the fall. And we all hope that nothing like that happens. But I think every store has got to come up with their plan to say, what do we do? So if we have a stay-at-home order that occurs October 15th, we need to be ready way in advance to know here's exactly what we do. And it's a much bigger conversation than e-commerce. It's things like how do we immediately institute a cap on the amount of toilet paper that can be purchased so we don't have repeats of some of the things that happened really early. And so you're hearing two really strong operators talk about what they did to get this started. And then, in the remainder of this conversation, we'd like to talk about how are you dealing with things now? Where do you see things going into the future? So, Callie, where do you guys looking to go over the next 3 to 5 weeks? And then where do you see things changing over that time?
Yeah, I want to just kind of step back to your launch of Notify When Ready. That's definitely a capability that is perking our interest. And for those of you that have a program that have not implemented Notify Ready, we're really at that breaking point where how much more can we expand? And there is some hesitation, just speaking openly and honestly, about going to Notify When Ready, in particular from operations. I think with all of the change going on, knowing and seeing what orders we have so that we can prepare for from an operations standpoint is very comforting. And then to introduce Notify When Ready on top of that, that's kind of where we are. So Brian has been grateful to kind of hook us up with others that implemented Notify When Ready. So that's definitely something that we're working through in the near future. The other areas is really understanding and putting resources towards continuous improvement. We've been on Click and Go for a while now. It's time for us to take a step back and look at what's working, what's not, where's the money going, where are the resources, where are those opportunities for us to not only improve guest experience, but maybe save some time or money. So we are definitely putting resources towards a continuous improvement department team, cross-functional team to take a deep dive into our Click and Go program. And then, really after this summer and into the fall, how can we balance our resources between guests that choose to come in store and those that continue to go through our Click and Go program? So I really love the idea of that cross-training to have associates kind of jump between departments based off of the needs of our guests. So those are kind of the areas that we're looking at.
There's some really interesting things that go ahead.
Yeah, there was a question that came in, and I had the same question, and it was on your slide 9, where we have that fairly noticeable dip. Can you touch on what that is there, that downward spike?
That was Easter. So it's really funny to see how e-com, where you have holidays, and some holidays you see this crushing, like Christmas. Right before Christmas, it just goes crazy, and then it dies back down. But it dies down after Christmas too. Everybody's done. They shop. They have so much food in their house already, and you don't normally see that pickup. We were really stunned to see Monday after, the day after Easter, to jump right back in line with where it was and continue. So that was a very unusual thing that we've seen with other holidays, where mostly people are kind of sated, they have everything that they need, and that didn't happen here at all. And I think if anything, it was exaggerated a bit because a number of stores, I don't think there was less demand on Easter. It was that we had a number of stores who shut down, and I was as Kelly was talking about that efficiency thing, I'd like to bring up, like, this is a pick performance chart. When a store tries to figure out how they're profitable with click and collect, most of it is around their pick time, the labor that it's taking to start from the time they get their notification until they've got all the items together in a basket, and then the time it takes from when the customer is on the way to the store and is notified where they're getting the order ready and they're getting it out and putting it into the car. The lines, the vertical lines that you see here each day, the blank one is the 12th. The store that I used for this was closed on Easter for click and collect. Most stores were open, pretty much universally stores were open on Easter, but there were a number of them that shut down click and collect on that day. This was a store that did. So vertically, the lower on the chart it is, the earlier it is in the day. This particular store starts at 9 a.m. and goes through 7 p.m. for their, this is just click and collect here. And each circle represents an order time. If you see concentric circles, so circle in a circle, those are multiple orders at exactly the same time. The larger the circle is, the larger it was in unique items. That's the challenge on picking an order. These little small ones might only have 10 or 15 unique items in them. The bigger ones might have 88, 100 different items in there. So if I got 2 gallons of the same kind of milk, that would be 2 items, but 1 unique item, because getting those 2 things of milk is fairly quick. So being able to get that. And then the green, the color indicates, was it on time or not? So green would indicate that it was picked at least 30 minutes prior to when the customer was due to have that order ready. Yellow would indicate that it was only within 30 minutes, but it still wasn't late. And then red would be that it was late. The darker the red, the later it was. The darker the green, the earlier it was. So stores it's really difficult to get a feel for how much time is it taking to pick orders? Are you on time and getting it done? So there's a couple of different charts that stores can glance at to see what's there. First, how many slots do I have and how full is it? How up to capacity that I am? A lot of stores, especially for the first few weeks of COVID-19, were solid red, which meant they had 0 slots available at any time for the whole week. So they sold out every potential opportunity that a customer had to get orders. And then they might be looking at a chart like this. And I'm going to switch over to another store that was operating with the same schedule, and these are the same start and end date. But as you can see, this store struggled a lot more to get orders done on time. They have a more expanded product set that they're doing. It's a different kind of store. But you can see the day after, on Monday, they were really struggling because they probably didn't pick all day on Sunday. Most stores are picking the night before for early morning orders, and they were trying to get that done. So really trying to keep on top of those numbers is really important that a store is aware of. First, what's my availability? Can customers place an order? Second, how long does it take me to pick an order? And then, am I ready on time? So there's another set of charts that you can look at that determine how much time did each associate spend on picking an order, because you've got to calculate what that is. All the things that they're talking about for scaling up really boiled back to, can you measure what are you doing? What's available? Do I have the times available to be able to get this done? And then what do I need to do? Do I bring labor in? Is there technical efficiencies that can be done? So there's a lot of different things that can come into play there to get that done. And certainly then it all boils back to, that sales chart of, what's happening? Where are we going? How are we trending over time? And stores before had weeks or months to plan on labor increases and that. And certainly with COVID-19 at the beginning, that wasn't the case. But we've continued to see stores say, Megan, how many people have you guys hired? Did you say 17?
Yeah,
for a single store. Yeah, that's a lot of people, a lot of associates to add and incorporate and get in there. And so there's unprecedented changes that the stores are dealing with, not for e-commerce, just overall. And e-commerce is just part of what they're what they're having to deal with.
I have a question about how you implemented the fee. If you start off and something's free, and then how you communicate to people that now you're charging for it, or if there's like a minimum requirement, or how that works.
Boy, yeah, we really. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We really tossed that around. Just 1 second. I have a child coming in here. Thank you, honey. Sorry, guys. I'm working from home.
I love it.
So I have a little one coming in to say hi. Okay, so that was something we really were struggling with. We knew after we hired 17 new people to come on, that we were going to have to implement a service fee of some kind to pay for these people. I mean, these shoppers have to be paid too. So we started the service with only a few shoppers. So we thought we were going to, just offer this to our customers free of charge. And that's what we decided when we first opened 2 years ago. And it was just fine. But now, with this many more shoppers, there was just no way we were going to be able to continue at that kind of a volume without charging a fee. So we went to $6.95. Like I said, it was not an easy decision. We knew we were going to get backlash, especially during this time. A lot of people are hurting right now. A lot of our customers are without jobs. They're on furloughs. And, here we go ahead and implement a service fee. So we did get some backlash, but for the most part, our customers said, absolutely, I'm not batting an eye at $6.95. Your service is so worth it. You guys' customer service is over the top. You take care of us. You handpick everything perfectly. Thank you. Happy to pay it. So yes, we did get some backlash, but for the most part, most people, like I said, they don't bat an eye. They'll go and get a Starbucks for $6.95. If you can save me time and not make me bring my kids into the store kicking and screaming, I will pay $10, I think, personally. But so that's how we did that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Brian, did you have more slides that you wanted to go through? I see there's a few more. I didn't want to interrupt you there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to thought provoker, whereas we're covering different things as we're talking about those fees. There is a lot of labor that the store goes through on receiving the order, pulling the order. The average basket online right now is between $120 and $150 for most retailers. Our overall average is running about $137 right now. It's a large order. I mean, this is a lot of items to get pulled together. It typically has at least 3 temperature zones. So you've got, just shelf stable items, you've got refrigerated and frozen items, and sometimes you have hot items that are going there as well. So there's a lot of challenges that the stores have to deal with that. Also, with the unprecedented size of these orders and the quantity of them, staging areas is a challenge for stores. So most of them use their mid-temperature walk-ins to stage orders, but some of them run out of space when they're doing that. So they've got to be really mindful of how they're getting this done, getting these orders out the door. Fortunately, nobody's leaving their groceries there. So as soon as they're told that it's available, most people are rushing into the store to be able to get that done. And whether it's click and collect or delivery, it's kind of has the same thing until it gets sent out for delivery or until the customer picks it up. It takes up space in the grocery store. And as you talk of the size of orders that we're talking about, you can really run into some challenges. The other things and operational challenges that come into play there are being able to mark products. And so we quickly came out with a whole new set of tags that stores could put right onto products that have different things on there, like weekdays only, or 24 hours notice required, limit 1 per customer, or out of stock, arriving soon, limited stock, supply low. So a customer could glance at the product catalog and see what's going on. And so I might be able to look at something and say, hey, I can get these in 30 minutes or less. Or I could glance at a set of products and realize that they probably don't have this, and I can't even add it to my cart. That's a really strong best practice is don't hide products that you don't have. Put them up there and say you don't have them, because otherwise people will call the store and say, I need, right now, sanitizing wipes is by far the biggest out of stock that we see across our whole platform. People are asking, they'll order 3 different kinds. They'll put notes in there. I'll take anything. They generally don't want soap as a substitute, but there's just nothing available. And so you've got to figure out how do you work through that. But masking those products is definitely not the right solution there. Some of the other things that come into play with that are being able to, for stores that have real-time inventory, or when a product comes into the store, being able to push that up to the website quickly so that people say, hey, this is likely in stock. I just got 5 pallets of this, and so I probably have this product. I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the front, and so it might be recently added. Those different kinds of controls are there, and any e-com platform should be able to handle that kind of flexibility to deal with. Every grocery store's inventory is different. We look at Festival Foods, very different store sizes, communities that they serve, so the products are very different. So implementing e-commerce is first about getting your products up there, getting pricing right, and learning how to process the orders. But the growing pains are really around how do you really do it right? How do you show those products properly? How do you manage those? How do you make sure that everything is being done okay? And Kelly, can you talk a little bit about how do you guys deal with out of stocks, and how does your team trained to deal with the fact that not everything is available right now?
Sure. We've done it a couple different ways. One, I don't know if you have a slide of it, but we've just put communication on our website, just sharing with guests that some of our items are limited availability and may be out of stock. So we did take advantage of the Fresh Shop's capability to message to our guests throughout their experience. The other thing is like weekly ad pricing, because our shop times, or when you would go schedule your pickup, it might be after the weekly ad is done, or a new one would be there, or we would be working off a new weekly ad. So at our checkout process, we literally list these items might be a different price because you're picking up after that ad break. So we took advantage of that messaging capability on Fresh Shop as well. And then there's the substitution in the notes. So just communicating with guests of, would this be a good substitute for this? So those were kind of the 3 ways that we've handled it.
Megan, how about you guys with Kessler's? How are you handling out of stocks and communication like that?
I agree with Kelly. We definitely did a lot of communication through email blasts. We searched all of our customers, our e-commerce customers, so we could speak to them directly, and we sent them an email blast letting them know, when we implemented the new service fee, and then also when there are things, for instance, like the ad prices, which Kelly touched on, saying, hey, when you pick up, if it's after the sale ended, you may not be receiving that same ad price. Same with out of stocks, same with out of stocks. If toilet paper, everybody kind of has a handle on toilet paper was scarce. So we said while supplies last, we had different communications on our website, and then also social media we use a lot. We also live in a very rural community, and a lot of our people here in Aberdeen listen to our local radio station. So that has been a huge bonus, I guess you could say, for us. We've been running radio ads as well, just saying, hey guys, please, we're doing everything we can to get you what you need in a timely manner. But just be aware that we may not have the items that you need, at this time. So people then, for the most part, very understanding. But communication is key. Once you let them know that you're doing everything you can to get them what they need, they're pretty understanding.
Are you? You mentioned growing pains early on. I'm curious, like the training with going from a few people to more people. Like how are you educating them about how your processes work, and what's the right way to pick an order, all those type of things?
We at Festival have a really.
Kelly.
Oh, sure. We have a really nice training process that was developed by our operations side, and we definitely utilize key performers at other locations to come in and train when a new location launches. And so we've been very successful there. And the other thing that we do is a friends and family for a few days. which we send an email to those that are related to us to come in and try our Click and Go program. And so we do, they're real live orders. And so then our shoppers get the opportunity to shop for a few days for their friends and family so that they can work through issues or get experience that they need. And it's really about hiring the right people. We've gone up and down and around on that as well. It's very important to get the right shopper.
Okay. Megan, do you have a point of view on that?
No, I think Kelly nailed it. Having the right people as your personal shoppers, making sure they're paying attention to detail, making sure that they're putting the customer service first. That's the most important piece here. And I think she nailed it.
Okay, great.
There's a lot of good practices that can be shared there for retailers to be able to get that out. We get a lot of great feedback from our retailers, and they've been super open about talking with each other, with sharing best practices, including pretty complicated and detailed guides on, start of shift preparation. If you're sick, do this. If you have any kind of symptoms, do this. How do you get that to double check in the order when it goes out? I saw there were some questions about looking at, how do you train people to get stuff into the car safely? And so it's, masks and gloves, washing hands, even washing the equipment that you're putting things on. Some stores for click and collect will put the trolley over next to the car, and then the customer puts the things into their car. But when they go and grab that trolley, they've got to clean it off because it's going to be used for the next set of groceries. And so there have been a lot of food safety practices that stores are really comfortable with doing already that have really had to step up and think about, how do I do touchless fulfillment at the car or delivery? How do I make all of that work for at scale? And then also keep in mind that stores are struggling with the same kind of availability of, they don't have sanitizing wipes in huge quantities that are available. And so stores have really had to adapt and come up with what's your cleaning practice, what's your employee practice, and really quickly get those training programs in place and put them out to customers, even understanding that, even this week we have states that are implementing, I live in upstate New York, and it looks like they're going to implement that everybody needs to wear a mask when out in public all the time. Not going into a store, just if you're out in public, you have to be wearing a mask. We're seeing that happen in a lot of different places. Stores have already implemented, but also local governments or states have implemented that you must wear a mask when going into a store. What kind of mask? How do you wear it? How do you interact with each other? All of those rules are changing all the time, and the store is having to respond to those exact same changes because they're not just selling groceries. They're providing a safe work environment, a safe shopping environment. They're keeping their business operating, and they're trying to keep all of that flowing in, which is probably, with the exception of healthcare, the most critical business that's being run in the world right now is getting food to people and getting that out the door. So the training programs and implementation for all of that, including e-commerce, can be daunting, but the independent retailers have been working great together. NGA, the National Grocers Association, has been really working to bring all of that together and communicate information out to people. And there's been a lot of movement to try to leverage all of that community knowledge and get it out there for everything. And that can be from things like, how do we keep everything clean, to best practices on what do you do where you're not getting products in like you used to. And so maybe your weekly ad, isn't as relevant. I know, Festival, you guys have had, you've done a lot of things with weekly ads. So, what have you seen around trying to deal with that, and what have you learned?
Yeah. So definitely a lot of shift in our weekly ad. First and foremost was the cadence. Like, are we going to continue to do the weekly ad every week? The size of the weekly ad, 8-page, 6-page, 4-page. So first thing we did was really keep a close eye on competition and what we were seeing out there. It was very important to us to keep the value coming to the guests during this time because of our tie to the community. So we were really starting to get creative with offers because not all of our vendors were able to confirm that the product that we would have in the weekly ad would be delivered on time. So we started to get creative with our offers, dollars off versus item and price. So those were kind of some of the things. We display our weekly ads as you walk into the store, as well as in the newspaper. And so to prevent, people reusing weekly ads in the store, we kind of put them on a big board as a guest would walk in, and then scan the weekly ad for the guest as they went to check out. So those were kind of some of the shifts that we had to do. We were quiet on weekly ads for a couple weeks. We were seeing our competitors doing the same, but now we're back up and running and in the weekly ad game again.
Okay. Have you considered, either of you, like a yearly subscription fee?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I'll take that one. That's actually something that I'm really interested in, and working with our senior leaders to explore that a little bit more and what that would look like, what that cost would be. The feedback I'm receiving is, Amazon can do that because they have so many other things to provide. So definitely kind of where we're seeing this thing heading, maybe evaluating or testing that.
Okay.
Kelly, I agree with you. That is something that we're looking at as well. I think there's a value there. I think there's a lot of our customers who use us often. There's customers who are on their 150th order with us. So there are people who use us all the time, and that's the only way they shop. So I think it's definitely a value, and that's something I'm excited to kind of lean into too and check out.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch on that, share experiences.
Okay. Hey, Brian touched on this kind of at the start, and I think was a little ahead of where we were going with the conversation for a second there, but I think now's a good time to revisit it about where we are heading and what normal looks like down the road. There is a very strange situation right now. We hear talk about some states reopening, but then on the other hand, you have, it seems like more, and even some situations like Brian mentioned, with states, mandating masks in public. So it's sort of this strange time where it's, as a person, it's hard to figure out where we're really going with this. As you guys look into the future and you think about, what your order volume might look like in 3-6 months next year, and sort of, does this online digital pickup delivery behavior become the new normal, or are people going to, want to come back into stores? And I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's, obviously I wish we all had a crystal ball and we knew it was coming, but unfortunately we absolutely have zero idea. But we can take an educated guess and think that, it might not be at the peak where it's at right now, but we're going to do our job to make sure that we are taking care of these customers. And, we're giving them a taste of what we can do for them and what this service really is. And it's convenience, guys. And it's so they don't have to come into the store. Everybody's lives are busy. We're giving them a service. And I think right now, because of this pandemic, unfortunately, we are showing them what we can do for them. And, once they get that good taste in their mouth, a lot of people aren't going to want to stop using it. Some people will. Some people miss coming into the store, touching and feeling. But I think it's not going to drop off back to where we were. I mean, I know that it's not, because, we just we're taking care of these people, and they're going to want to continue to use us. So I'm looking forward to see where the number actually, ends up evening out at. But it's definitely going to be interesting.
I think the initially Click and Go for us was a convenience message. We're here however you want to shop. And I think in the future, it's really just going to be it's going to be a necessity for some of our guests. They maybe in the future will choose to adjust their life and not head into stores, or they may have physical ailments that encourage them to stay out of brick and mortar. So I think the reasoning behind a buy online is potentially going to shift.
Okay. Do either of you require your employees to wear a mask during the day, or have you looked at requiring customers to wear masks? I know that's become a bit of a trend also.
I'll take that. We currently have our front end, meaning anybody cashiering, they are all wearing masks. Our personal shoppers are also wearing them. And then as far as, different guidelines that we're making our shoppers when they deliver groceries out to the car, we sell liquor, and beer online. And so we have to card, right? So a big thing there too is, we used to take their IDs, check their IDs and give them back. Right now we're asking our customers, please put your ID up against the window. We'll check it that way. Just to protect our employees as much as possible. That's always priority. The rest of our store, we have masks available for everyone, but people back in production areas, they are not required to wear it yet. It is a possibility moving forward.
Okay. Brian, you have any thoughts on that topic? What you're seeing?
Yeah, it's all over the place with the different markets on what people are doing, and we continue to see it evolve. So we're just kind of trying to help retailers and communicate. Even while we've been talking here, I've sent a couple of email introductions from people who are asking questions, and they're really just looking to get in touch with somebody else who's kind of facing the same challenges and getting it done. So I would highly recommend that you reach out to your partners, your e-com provider, your point of sale, your wholesaler, and say, hey, I've got questions. Can I talk to 3 other people that are similar to us? And let's talk through it and see if we can come up with an answer, because this isn't the deliberate, figure it out kind of thing that we normally have. This is I need an answer today. I'm going to implement tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, things have changed just while we've been on the phone, or on this call. I feel like it's extremely dynamic. And so we're all living through that right now and adjusting in real time. Let's kind of wrap this up. I'd be interested in everybody's parting thoughts just on, anything we maybe didn't cover. If you've got some thoughts on, how you're going to spend this afternoon, what problem you may be solving in the back half of the day, and just kind of go from there. Megan, you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, sure. I guess, thoughts for anybody who's thinking about, diving into e-commerce. I know before we did it, we had all kinds of questions, and we are the type of company who likes to know the answers to everything before we do things. And we just kind of decided, if we don't do this, we're going to be left in the dust. So we just, we decided to leap. We took the leap, and it has been incredible for us. Like I said, our customers love this service. Right now, they are, I keep getting emails and text messages from our customers saying, thank you so much. So I wouldn't be scared to do it. Obviously, Fresh Up is an amazing tool. They will help you with anything that you need. We've leaned on Brian and his team. Like I said, I don't have the answers to everything, and I won't. I'm not an expert. But they definitely are, and I reach out to them all the time. I'm sure Brian's getting sick of my calls.
Okay, Kelly?
Yeah, I think one thing that we didn't really talk too much about is a little bit on delivery and how that comes into play. So we had to explore that as well. In particular in our communities, there was a lot about delivering for elderly. That's what we were seeing in our market. So that was kind of fun to play around with as well. I think that one thing I'd really like to kind of commend Festival on is just the flexibility of the leadership team and our organization and working together. It's very important that those two pieces work when we implement and grow our Click and Go program. So those would be the two pieces of advice: is making sure senior leadership's on board and making sure that all the departments internally are working together. And those are two things that I think we've done really well.
Okay, great. And Brian, parting thoughts?
I think one thing that Megan said, when stores that go onto e-commerce in the normal times, they would all say after they went live, we were overthinking it. We should have just turned it on and gone with it and learned as we went. It's a very different time right now where COVID-19, there's a lot of pressures to be able to get it out the door. there's a lot of good e-com providers out there that you can leverage to be able to do this. I would just recommend a couple things is, pick a trusted partner and go with it. Get it out there and try it. You have some really good opportunities now where, the customers are willing to and they understand that this is a very challenging time and that you're going through a lot of stress. And so you have some get out of jail free cards that you wouldn't have in a normal time where your super high expectations of your customers have to get met every day. So there's definitely opportunities to roll this program out. Just bite off what you can. Get out 10, 15 orders a day to start with. See what you can manage. You can grow it up from there. The other thing is I'd be really careful about different relationships that you sign on during COVID-19. Make sure that you don't have a long-term commitment, that you have the opportunity to rethink as things change. So don't make a really long commitment with anybody, including Fresh Hop right now. You've got to think about what are you going to get through the next 6 weeks? What's it going to be like over the summer? What's it going to be like in the fall? And then start thinking about future years. So I think anybody who's trying to look at doing e-com, if you haven't already been doing it, is first make sure you're going to own the customer, that it's yours. For any retailer, the relationship should be directly between the retailer and the customer. If you put any third party between you and your customer, you're just training them to go to Amazon. So it's really important that you own that relationship, that the communication between you and the customer is just between the two of you. You can definitely have third parties that you trust that work with you to do that last mile execution or to fit into different places to help you get things done. But first and foremost, the retailer needs to own the experience. They need to get it out there and provide it for their customers and evolve that over time. And the best thing I can tell you to do is just get out there and get it. The customers really want this. They demand it now. So every store has got to have some kind of a click and collect platform or a plan in place. Whatever that plan is, just let yourself get out there, do it in a measured way. Look to your peers, talk to other people and see what's working for them, what's been successful, and just go from there. Take it a little step at a time. Try to get through the next 6 weeks. Continue to run your stores. Be safe. Be healthy. Help America and the rest of the world continue to have food and supplies to be able to keep themselves going and set yourself up for that future success.
All right. Excellent. Words to live by. Don't overthink it. Make things happen. Brian, thank you very much. Megan, Kelly, really appreciate the insights you offered. I know people listening everybody's searching for answers, so this is extremely helpful. I know there were some questions we didn't get to. I know, Brian, you have the ability to kind of follow up with some of those where appropriate. And so we're going to end it there. Again, thank you, everyone, and thank you for listening. Have a good day. Take care.